Hi, this is Jonathan, Customer Experience Manager here at SimplyCast.com. Today we're going to talk about creating a survey using the SimplyCast platform. Right now I'm on the survey dashboard, and I'm just going to click on the Create Project button to begin. So the first step is the project setup. So this is the name of the survey. So I'm just going to call it My Survey. So now that I've got the project name entered, I'm just going to go down and click on the Next button. So here we are on the template page. There's a number of predefined templates that are set up for surveys, so you can use any of these as a starting point. I'm going to grab the one right here, called Radar Site, so I'm going to use that one. And as soon as I click on it, it comes up with a little page here where I can customize the look and feel of the survey. So I'm going to change my color palette here just to get away from the black and white. There we go. Let's go with Sandy Beach. There, so now we've got a little bit of color in our survey. We can also change the header, background color, and actually you can even change the individual colors by clicking on these different elements. So if I wanted to change the text from this brown color, I could click on it, and then I could choose like a different color right here, and then just click away once I've made my selection. So next I'm just going to change the header that I have. So I'm going to switch it from a plain header to something else. I'm going to go with this like gradient here, this color to black, and that's going to change right up here. I'm also going to change the background image just for fun. So we'll just put something in the background, like perhaps we'll go with this tree down at the bottom. So, all right. So now that I've got my really nice looking template here, I'm just going to click on Continue to the editor. So here we are on the survey design page, and this is where you can make further changes to the survey template that we selected on the previous step. You'll notice a lot of the elements at the top are similar if you've used the form builder before. There's also elements that are specific to survey creation. You'll notice choice elements, for example, at the top. This is where you can insert drop-down boxes, checkboxes, radio buttons, and matrix questions into the survey that you're creating. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a slight change to the survey that we've created here from the template. So I'm going to add a drop-down box. So I'm just going to click on this, drag it down, and I'm just going to place it right under email here. So right now the drop-down box is selected, and all the properties for this drop-down box are on the left. And you'll find that you can make changes to, like these options will change depending on what you've clicked on. So if I was to click on the matrix question, this would change, and I could put in all the information related to that type of question. So I'm just going to click back on my drop-down box so I can make changes to it. So I can either click in here to change the label, or I could click over here. So I'm going to say, what application do you use the most? So now I've filled out that label. Now I'm just going to change the options that are available in this drop-down box. So I'm just going to go over here to the left, and then right here you'll see options. So I'm going to get rid of these placeholder. So now I've removed the placeholders that were in the option box. So now I'm going to put my own in there. So I'm just going to make a small list of some of the applications that we have that people can choose. So I'm going to say email, let's say survey, Facebook, and I could add others, but we'll just leave it at 3 for now for this example. There's also an option underneath here where it says drop-down width, and by default the drop-down box is kind of narrow. But if we had a really long selection in here, we could actually change this to maybe fill the whole thing as opposed to simply just fitting each selection, depending on what kind of look and feel that you're going for. We can also change the overall design of the survey just by clicking on Project. So we can change the background color. So we weren't limited to doing that on the template selection page where we were previously. We can make additional changes here. So if you change your mind about what you had chosen before, you can easily make changes here. Like if I didn't want the background image here at the bottom, I could go up to Form Background Image here and just hit this little X and it'll get rid of it. Or I could go and I could upload my own image and put it in the survey if I wanted to. We can also change various positions, the width of the form. We could add a border if we wanted to, for example. And then we could change the color of the border. Yeah, you can also change the font settings as well as the page settings of the form. For example, we could give it a title. So we could call it Survey or something similar, probably something more descriptive. And we can decide what kind of background colors we want and things like that. Like right now it's transparent around the form, but we could give it a solid color if we wanted to, except we won't choose red. There, we'll just go with a white background. So in addition to these different choice elements, we can also add other types of elements in here too. So you could have, for example, a CAPTCHA form. Let's say you've probably seen these on websites where you have to type in words in order to submit a form. So we could drag and drop one in here. For example, that'll force somebody to fill out these words just to prevent automated processes from filling out forms and giving you inaccurate data. We can also add things like a spacer, for example. So if you wanted a little more space between the header and the title, or so let's say underneath the title before the name is captured, you could drag a spacer in there. And like a lot of the other elements here, you can resize them by using these double arrows. So if I want it to be larger, I could just drag it down, or if I want the whole survey to be wider, I could click on the horizontal arrows here and make the whole thing larger. If we wanted to add, for example, if we wanted to know what their country was that they're coming from, we could use the country element. Put that down here so that somebody could select the country that they're from, if that was something that you would want to collect information about. If you want to remove an element, like for example, I don't really want to use the country selector, you can click and select it, and you can click on the garbage can icon that's over here on the right. And the system will prompt you to delete that element. So I'm going to say OK. And you can do that for any type of element. So I'm going to remove this spacer that I've added as well. So now that I've deleted those elements I don't want, I want to modify my survey so that they have to rate the application here. So right here I've got this feedback matrix question. So I'm just going to click on it to edit its properties. And I'm looking for the required field here. So I'm just going to check it off. And as soon as I check off that it's required, you're going to see like a red asterisk appear right beside the label. So this way it'll force people who are filling out the survey to fill in this information. So now that we've got our survey set up, we can move on to the next step. And I'm going to click on the next button here in the bottom right. So here we are on the third step called Data Settings. And this is where you associate your form for the signups with a list that you have in the system. So this way we can store the results. So I'm just going to use my test list for now. But you can add any number of lists simply by dragging and dropping them from the left to the right. We've also got a few different options here where we could create a new list if we didn't have one that we wanted to use here. We can also decide what to do when we add information in here. So we could update, we could create a new contact, or we could update an existing contact. And we can choose to email results to us from the survey. So every time somebody fills it out, we could have it send us an email. So I'm going to choose one of my email addresses here. So now that we've got that set up, we're going to go down and click on Next to proceed to the next step. So here we are on the settings page, and right here are the basic settings that are in your survey. So we're going to leave the title as survey. We have the description here. I'll just leave the default, but you could change it simply by typing in the field. We've also got settings for allowing multiple submissions. So if you want somebody to fill out your survey more than once, you can allow that. You can limit the number of people that can fill out the survey. You can also set the survey to expire. And you can also set it up for secure browsing. And that's basically like an HTTPS link that you may have noticed, when you go to secure web pages. There's also advanced settings that are on the left-hand side where we could, for example, password protect the survey. We could block certain IP addresses from signing up. And there's also a feature here called custom post processing. And that would be used if you wanted to send the survey results to your own system and process the results there instead of sending it to our list management system. So now we're going to proceed to the next step. So here we are on the Optin Setup page. And you're probably wondering why I'm saying opt-in, because this is a survey that you're sending out. Since the survey application that we have is based on our form builder, you can actually have people opt in as part of a survey to a mailing list. By default, the opt-in feature is disabled in surveys, and you can see it in the top left-hand corner. So if this is a survey you're sending to existing customers, just leave the opt-in turned off. And then you can ignore the section on the left that says opt-in email, since you're not, in that case, you wouldn't be opting anybody in. So with that being the case, all we need to do here is make sure that we have our thank you page set up, which is going to thank them after they've submitted the survey. And we would want to set up a thank you email and the confirmation page. Before we do that, there's a few features in the thank you page that are particularly useful. If you want to personalize your thank you page, you can use merge tags. So what these do is when the person fills out the survey and they enter in their name, you could actually put it right in the header, or the body. So before I select the name, I'm just going to highlight the text that's in the body, and I'm going to delete it, and then I'm going to insert the name in the body. So I'm just going to, it's already selected, and I'm just going to hit add. So it's going to put name here in the body. So that's going to put the person's name in there that they filled out as part of the survey. So I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to say name, comma, thank you for completing the survey. Now the system is going to give them a more personalized message. If I didn't want to use the default thank you page, I could use my own by clicking on this link below that says use custom thank you page. So I might have a thank you page that's set up on my website, and if that was the case, you could put the website address to the thank you page here, and that's where your survey participants will be redirected to when they complete it. Since we're not doing an opt-in for this survey, we don't have to concern ourselves with the opt-in email, confirmation page, or thank you email, since those are all related to the opt-in process. So I'm going to click on Next to proceed. So here we are on the modal form settings page. And basically a modal is like a little pop-up that appears on a web page. So these are all optional settings. So we could use these if we wanted to have a little pop-up button that somebody could click on that they could access the survey and then fill it out. So in this case, I'm going to create one, and I'm just going to change the button text from newsletter sign up to take our survey. And you'll notice as soon as I click out of the box, the preview will change. We can also decide where the button will appear on the web page. So we could say, right now it's bottom left, but we could do the top or the center. I'm going to make it the top center. And then we can change the colors. So let's say I want something maybe I want a blue button instead. I could choose that. And we can view a preview of our button right over here on the left. So you could put in your website address, for example. I'll just leave it set to example.com and then just hit preview. And now it's going to load the web page and then just show us what our survey button is going to look like. So you can see right at the top, here's my blue Take Our Survey button. And if I click on it, you'll notice that the survey immediately appears. So now that we've had a look at our preview, we're just going to go down and finalize our survey. So I'm just going to click on Next at the bottom. So here we are on the Publish page. And this is an overview of all the design steps of the survey. And we want to see a bunch of green checkboxes here, which we do. And that means that we've completed all the steps and are ready to publish. So I'm going to click on Complete Project. Now that we've completed the project, we're now presented with a number of different options that we can use. For example, so one of the very first options is Survey URL. And we can take this address here and we could paste it anywhere we want somebody to be able to click on the survey. So you could distribute this link as part of a button or a banner or anywhere you wanted to. If you wanted to place the survey on a web page, you could use either the script code that we have here or the iframe code. So these would be integrated directly within the web pages themselves. If you were interested in using the modal form, the little pop-up button that we talked about, you want to use the modal form code that's here. So you can either use you'll see the script here, and you can also use the same functionality. Like if you were to click on that pop-up button to fill a survey out, you can actually apply that to any button that's on your site. And we have the code below where it says on click. So you can take that code and just basically add it to your site for the particular button you want to launch the survey. There's also some other options here. You can have QR codes, and those are like those little barcodes that people can scan. So for example, if I clicked on the small QR code, you'll notice up in the top left there's a little barcode. So I could take my smartphone and scan it, and then I could go and fill out the form on it. And I can also get medium or large size ones as well. There's also social media here, so you could post the survey on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn, and Yahoo. And once you've got the code that you want to use, you can just close this window here, and then you're done. If you want to go back and get the code at a later date, you can go back to the survey dashboard, which is actually, I'm right here now. You can just click on the Get Code button that's over on the right, and that'll just bring up the code view. If you have any questions, check out our FAQs or send us an email to support@simplycast.com. Thanks for watching.